Hoje nós vamos fazer uma nova gameplay de um jogo chamado What Remains of Edith Finch. Eu sinceramente não conheço esse jogo, eu vi algumas gameplays, vi algumas informações sobre ele, mas eu me interessei e nós fazemos uma gameplay diferente do que os outros fazem, tá? Tem muito gamer que faz a história, bota todo o conteúdo, faz uma autoanálise antes do jogo. Nós vamos fazer de forma diferente, vamos completar o jogo, zerar ele e depois fazemos uma análise completa sobre como que foi, o que é o jogo, passamos uma informação mais completa assim, em questão do jogo. Bora lá então. Edith Finch. Meu inglês é horrível, só para avisar, então se tiver crítica sobre ele, eu peço já desculpa, tá?
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you.
Deixa eu só ver aqui, opções, controle de câmera, retículo, efeito sonoro, tá no máximo.
And I'm sorry about that. I'm just gonna start at the beginning, with the house.
Então vamos lá. Vou começar do começo, a história da casa.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Morei aqui até os 11, mas não podia entrar na metade dos cômodos.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago.
Dentro da caixa de correio encontrei cartas de 7 anos atrás marcadas urgente, abrir imediatamente. Opa. Não vai mais abrir? Eu achei que ia ler as cartas.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Eu não tinha voltado desde o funeral do meu irmão Lewis. Então já começamos que com a história alguém faleceu, né? Ela perdeu alguma pessoa, o irmão dela.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell
No
me
testamento minha mãe deixou uma chave para mim, mas não me disse para quê.
Maybe she thought I'd know. Or
talvez ela achou que eu saberia, talvez ela achou que eu saberia. Talvez ela pensou que o mistério seria suficiente para me trazer de volta. Aqui tem um caminho que vai para a floresta. E eu acho que aqui vai para casa, The Finches. Então vamos por cima.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Fazia muito tempo que ninguém via até aqui. Não consegui ler tudo. Então vamos fazer assim, conforme for aparecendo o texto, não vou ler, vou deixar a narrativa do jogo e durante o jogo a gente vai interagindo.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Espero que não seja terror, porque eu não sou muito fã de jogo de terror. Gente, só um minutinho.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Mas isso daí não é uma casa, é um prédio.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Tô achando que eu vou assustar.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
E eu tô achando que eu não devia ter voltado pra cá. Tem uma rampa de acesso, provavelmente deve ser algum cadeirante.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Pelo visto ninguém mora na
For the
casa
first
faz
time
muito
in
tempo.
years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Minha casa deve tá fedendo.
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly. The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
É, tinha cadeirante, como suspeitei.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Não, alguma coisa tem, porque foram embora e largaram tudo, mobília, não levaram nada da casa. O meu medo é esse.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Porão vai ser o último lugar que eu vou.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Muito estranho. Porta selada, com coisa até do lado, em volta, para não passar aí nada de dentro e não entrar. Eita, alguma coisa tem.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Mas por que
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
O que será?
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Não vai dar certo.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Eu já tô com medo, não tem... Não é pintura, não.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Nossa Senhora.
I kept eating and eating. I ate a lot of things that night. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
Nossa, virou gato.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Nossa.
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up.
Nossa.
And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Como assim? Que viagem é essa?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Cadê ela?
Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, and I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
É muita informação na minha cabeça.
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
Nossa.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Uma bela de uma viagem. Mas vamos dar continuidade no
I
jogo.
can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here. This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
A família tem uma história pesada.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Acho que ela tá pesquisando a história da família, então. Provavelmente. A árvore genealógica dela.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Olha esse chão. Essa chave dela é universal? Será que abre tudo? Abre tudo.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Eita.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam! Calvin! Dinner's ready! Coming!
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin! I'm not gonna tell you again!
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
da hora. A interação da casa
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
será? Eu acho que ele tá querendo dar uma passada.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Certo, pai dela cortou a mão.
Old Finch rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. Moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara. At the door, she heard whispering. Was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
Surprise! Bravo, Barbara! You were wonderful!
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, But that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Fiquei meio sem palavras assim pro jogo. Achei... eu não sei explicar. Acho que por hoje foi isso. Em breve soltamos outra gameplay para vocês. Espero que tenha gostado. E espero que assistam a continuidade dessa história também. Um abraço a todos. Até a próxima.